Hello everyone and welcome to PCM's Webinar Thursday. We are thrilled to have you with us today for our webinar, HPE Generation 10 with Intel, a new generation compute experience. Joining us today is Ronnie Adami and Darren Tovton. We're going to get right into our presentation in just a few minutes, but first I have a few housekeeping items. Please enter your questions in the question box on the right-hand side and I'll relay those to our speaker at the end of the presentation. We do send out a survey at the end of the webinar. Please fill it out and let us know how we did as well as topics you'd like to see covered on future webinars. You should see that survey in your inbox later today. Speaking of future webinars, please be sure to check out our weekly webinar schedule on our website at www.pcm.com/webinars/archive. We are recording this webinar. It will be available for playback in a few days. Recordings are posted to our webinars page along with our upcoming webinar schedule. There you can also find previous webinar recordings. And with that, we're going to get started with our main presentation today, and I'm happy to hand it off to Ronnie.
Thank you, Jorge. Appreciate the introduction.
You're welcome.
Let's. Could you please confirm screen is okay?
Yes, sir. Up and looking good.
Perfect. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in the new session talking about HPE Gen 10 in collaboration with Intel. My colleague from Intel will be joining us later during this presentation, Darren Tovton. And without further ado, let's start talking what's new in the new announcement. So before we talk about I'm having a little difficulty with my PowerPoint. Let's make sure it's working fine. All right. All right, so before we talk about the products and the hardware and all the cool gadgets and all the cool innovations and releases, let's talk a little bit about what triggered these announcements from Intel mainly with the new Skylake processors and what led to have HPE release our HPE Gen 10 server, ProLine servers. So if we look in today's environments, in today's organizations, we're seeing a major transformation that's happening at every level. If you look around you, your organization probably is transforming already. If it's not transforming, probably they have plans to start transform. We're seeing this transformation impacting every bit of our daily life. Looking at the UPS truck that we see every day in our streets, I've learned a lot about their business over the last few weeks by knowing first that they only turn right ways, they don't turn left, which was very surprising to me. But I've also learned that they have around 55,000 employees in the US and approximately 105,000 worldwide. And what UPS does every day, they deliver 16 million boxes on a daily basis. Just imagine for a second, how long would it take to plan and draft the map to deliver those packages in a very efficient way and a cost-effective to keep that business profitable? So UPS definitely transformed, and with the help of HPE and definitely Intel, we were able to help them optimize their business to spit those routes in seconds. We're talking 5 to 6 seconds to spit the routes for all their employees worldwide so they can follow to best optimize the delivery of these boxes. Look at the ride shares. Every day, every city, we're seeing something new and an update to the ride share community, if I want to call it. You know, Uber is like the leader maybe in that environment, or Lyft is the leader in few cities, but yet they don't own any of these cars. That's by itself is a major transformation. And talking about banking and trading, you know, in the past you still do the traditional trading, but now with the Bitcoin and all the other technologies that are coming out, you know, it's changing the shape. I was on my flight yesterday and I was able to, you know, do trading on Bitcoins. That's new to our daily lives. And I do business with a bank that doesn't even exist in my state. I don't need to go to their bank, to the branch anymore. Everything is happening just from the palm of your hands, from your smartphones. Talking about all these transformations, that makes us believe as HPE, the best route would be to go with hybrid IT so we can accommodate those transformations and be able to deliver on the successful results for your businesses and make sure that have the right combination and the right mix between the on-prem business and the off-prem business. And when we're talking on-prem and off-prem business, we do believe that there are some trade-offs that needs to be made. Those trade-offs, talking about it to our customers, we were able to get like a very good ideas captured through those conversations about what exactly those are trade-offs and how we can help you kind of limit those trade-offs that you need to make in your daily decisions in your environments. You know, the pros and cons, whether you're staying in your data center or you're going to someone else's data centers. We do believe that customers have the right to have access to their data at every minute. But as well, we do believe that customers as well with those transformations are forced to have the capacity they need and the expansion they need at every minute. For these reasons, we were able to deliver an end-to-end portfolio going from the hardware, which is the whole compute, and by compute we mean the server, the storage, the networking, going all the way to our recently released Synergy, which started shipping earlier this year, going all the way to the traditional applications and the cloud-native applications, so we can deliver an end-to-end experience to you guys and help you transition your businesses the right way. For us to do that, we had to release our Gen 10 portfolio. And with Gen 10, for those who are familiar with our hardware from the Gen 9 or the prior generations, we've had to do some changes to the portfolio so we can optimize as well internally so we can deliver faster to our customers, provide availability, and be able to be competitive or stay competitive in that market space. So you can see that we removed some of the platforms that we did believe we can transition to other more performing ones. So you can look on the right-hand side, we've had the micro server Gen 10, which is our tiniest server, ML110 on the tower side, and ML350, going to the 300 series, which is our most selling portfolio or items on our portfolio. The 500 series with the 4 processors, very powerful units, going to Blade, Synergy, and Apollo. So we were able to deliver really a combined messaging across all our hardware side with our Gen 10 portfolio. And this is kind of a quick snapshot that I like to keep, just showing how our portfolio fits from like the 10 series all the way to the 500 series and how it scales on that schema. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about, you know, what's in Gen 10. So security is a major player in that Gen 10 part, and it's a major differentiator. As you can see on your screens, all these company names, probably they mean a lot to you guys, and all these companies have been breached. And those are some of the, you know, the data that was released from those breaches, which is major. If we look at the biggest one, or one of the, we thought it was the biggest one, it started with, you know, making a claim that they had a 500 million data breach or 500 million entries breach, and then they came back after a year, realized that there's another 500 million that they kind of added to that mix. So the total was humongous. However, the biggest one was River City Media. Probably those emails that you get every day from different companies telling you about latest and greatest, about new products, new releases. This is River City Media, which is, you know, they do marketing, targeted marketing, everyone partner up with them, and they've had entries that, you know, probably looking at that number definitely covers a lot more than just the United States or North America. So as well, they had their fair share of that breach. Every day, I used to wake up in the morning and check, the weather forecast. Now we wake up every morning and we check, who got breached, because it's becoming that topic that's unbelievably uh, concerning to every organization out there. And we're realizing from the data that we've been getting from different sources that any breach, on average, it takes around 99 days before it's detected. And the best part of this claim is that this detection, most of the time, is happening from an external factor, not internally. I'll give an example here is the Target breach. Target, they did not know they were breached until the FBI contacted them, seeing some credit cards being sold online. And this is when it triggered an audit and an investigation internally at Target, and led them to find that they were breached, and it was sitting there for over 100 days. We realized as well that 84% of those breaches are happening at the application layer, which is, a lot of products available today in the market could help our customers be protected on the application layer. However, since the attacks are are growing fast, and I can relate to, the trend that we've been seeing since 2010, which led to our engineers start working on some exclusive security features to HPE in order to deliver that security to our customers. We started seeing with that trend that a lot of attacks started moving from the application layer, because it's becoming very secure, to go down all the way to the firmware layer, or the firmware attacks. And we've seen that with the Apple attack that happened last year or a year before, where their firmware got breached and or hijacked and led to some significant consequences. The National Institute of Standard and Technology is very involved in those conversations, and they set some very specific standards for everybody to follow. And back in May, the President of the United States issued a memo to have all federal agencies follow the NIST compliance. Because we were realizing that any breach is costing any business, and definitely it varies between business size. Any business as a mean number around 7.7 million. Definitely smaller customers would not survive any breach, and they will be out of business within 6 months. However, what's leading to all these breaches and those this incremental amount of breaches is basically the tradition that we have in our IT departments. If you look at your spending in your IT departments, we realize that approximately around 4% of that spending is only going to security. The rest, majority of it, is going to licensing, since the licensing cost is increasing year after year. And just another portion is going to the hardware innovations. In Europe, we're seeing a new law that impacts everybody in this world, the GDPR, which requires that your organization signifies or claims the breach within 72 hours after it's discovered. If you think about it and think about today's world, who is ready to go online, to go public and make a claim within 72 hours talking about the consequences of that breach and what happened? And the reason why the GDPR is even important to the US, because every business that have an EU customer in their database has to follow the GDPR. And the GDPR is working very closely with the NIST to deliver those standards to make sure every organization that has kind of online business or have customers following. So unfortunately, the approach today is very reactive compared to what it needs to be very proactive when it comes to security. That leads us to, at HPE, to believe that the firmware going forward is going to have more and more, breaches or attacks, and hackers are going to become more and more creative to hijack those firmwares, which leads us to release our secure root of trust or silicon root of trust on our Gen 10 servers. We protect our servers through different layers, starting from the supply chain, going through the firmware and through the different layers of the server. But we don't stop at the protect layer. We go and do the runtime detection. We provide alerts and we recover the system from any suspect breach. We do identify any potential risky behaviors, whether it's from a human or from different applications. We identify those and we notify the administrators. We provided with our Gen 10 4 different layers, and most of these layers either were built exclusively internally within HPE or in collaboration with some of our partners like Intel, and allows you to select to what level you want to protect your systems. You want to keep it at just a production layer, which pretty much the standard security that comes with our servers and previous generations or our competitors today. However, we provide a high security, a FIPS certified or CNSA suite, which makes it more and more secure, requires two-factor authentications or more, and it helps your organizations to accelerate the regulatory compliances, whether it's ISO, HIPAA compliance, or the NIST compliance. As I mentioned, some of the federal agencies would have to abide to that. But we don't stop there. We take it even after your end of life. We can take your hard drives, you can take anything that data was touched with and dispose it properly so data cannot be reconstructed. And we do this through our Point Next, which is our services arm at HPE. So now let's see how really the security happens on the different layers from HPE. Compared to the industry, they are like just a basic security, as I mentioned. We protect it from the supply chain and on. And I can tell you from the supply chain, we added some features to our chassis, which is intrusion protection. It helps you detect if the server was opened or had someone, access it on its way to your organization. But we don't stop there. Once it's boot up, once it's in your environment, we try to keep that runtime validation and detect any ongoing breaches, and we guarantee that we will detect it within 24 hours. And once detected, we can help you recover by isolating that layer, taking it out, and then rebuilding it with the latest state of secure mode. So by that, we were able to deliver from supply chain all the way to the application level, a secure environment. And the only way we were able to deliver that is because we homegrown our ILO features, and we'll talk about ILO in a bit, to be able to inject all these security algorithms on the ASIC level on the chipset to control those security features. Next in line is the agility part. So after the security, we have the agility, which I sum it up in like mainly the performance side. With the performance, it ranges from management and options. Between management and options, we have different features that we were able to provide to our customers with Gen 10. And some of these features as well were in collaboration with Intel, and we'll talk about it in the next few slides. So I mentioned briefly ILO. For those of you who know ILO, we've had different generation of ILO. It's been on our servers for many, many years. This is a very consistent product within our portfolio. It allows you to remotely connect to your server. It allows you to manage your server from different locations, collaborate, have multiple people accessing that server. However, the only way we can do that with ILO is because it's all controlled by a small CPU or an ASIC that sits on the chipset level. Because it is a homegrown application or homegrown feature, we were able to inject that ILO with all the security features that we wanted, so it helps control the server the way we want it. So we have the silicon root of trust to start or to securely start the server and roll back to any known good firmware in case of breach. It supports the two-factor authentication. It has its runtime. It has the runtime firmware verification. And with the new ILO 5, we were able to deliver twice the speed compared to ILO 4 to be able to kind of deliver on these security features. And we added in the front of our server something called ILO service port, which is allow you to, as soon as you receive the server, in case something is happening or if it's not booting, you can just plug in a USB and it will write automatically the code that tells you what's happening with the server. And that code is not like an encrypted code. It's something that readable. You can read it. You can know what exactly is happening before contacting support. So this is a very nice feature to have that helps you understand what's going on in your environment. And with ILO, we had in the past something called ILO Advanced, which provides additional features to our server, like collaboration, where different people from your organization can connect remotely from different locations in the world to help solve a problem or help run an application on a server that's sitting and isolated in a remote location. You can shut down that server, power it up, and along with some other features. But we added in that portfolio something called HPE Security Premium or Premium Security Features. If you recall on previous slide, I mentioned the 4 different security features that you can select. With this license, it allows you to activate those features and it allows you to benefit from all the Gen 10 security features that we are talking about. And it's a very, very low cost license that could be added to your server. So I highly encourage for those who have currently Gen 10 servers or they are looking to buy Gen 10 servers to make sure that they are purchasing this ILO Advanced Premium Security Edition to benefit from the security features. As well, in collaboration with some of our partners, we are delivering a weekly message or a weekly course around our security features if you'd like to learn more about that. And PCM has that information, would be able to deliver it to you. Within the ILO family, we have ILO Amplifier Pack, which is absolutely free at no cost to you. Allows you to do, inventory count. It allows you to go up to 1,000 servers, get all the details on them. It allows you to do all the updates and firmware releases and deployments, and it scales up to like 10,000 servers. You can even do federation if you had ILO Advanced with this tool. So it is definitely at no cost to you. It's very easy to use. I highly encourage you, if you have HPE servers, to look at the ILO Amplifier Pack and download it today. By the way, it's supported on Gen 8 and forward generation, so Gen 8, Gen 9, and Gen 10 servers. The server definitely is not only a chassis, and it's not only the design, it's not only the features. What makes the server very robust, or what makes the HPE server very robust, is some of our options that we are proud to have on our portfolio. Our selection of our options is very picky, and it goes through a long cycle before it's selected. It goes through a lot of testing and a lot of changes to fit our model and be able to deliver a faster speed. And an example on that, in the past we were able to deliver a higher speed on our memory compared to anyone out there in the market, even though it's probably maybe the same provider that makes those memory, but because of our system is built to tailor those options to the way they can run better on HPE server, we're able to go through those selection processes and make it available to you. But I want to talk about today more about the persistent memory, which I feel we're not giving it its fair justice in Gen 9, and now with Gen 10, it's available out there as well. So persistent memory, it consists of what we call NVDIMMs, and you can see on the screen we have that blue DIMM, which in the Gen 9 was it had the green color. We changed it because we realized some customers had some issues, unplugging it without unplugging it safely. So we changed the color to blue to make sure it's not confused with the regular memory DIMM. So what this NVDIMM delivers is basically we added some nano hard drive that sits exactly on that memory. You can see compared to any regular memory stick, you have more of those kind of black squares, if I want to call them. Those will hold memory for you, or will hold data for you. So it allows you to have faster storage at a memory speed. However, what we realized coming from Gen 9 to Gen 10, that we are able to double that capacity to 16 gig, but some customer wanted even more. So NVDIMMs is powered usually by a smart battery that sits inside the server and allows you to hold that data in case of a downtime or in case of failure, and helps you recover it fast. To accommodate those customers that requires a lot more data than 16 gig to sit on those memory, what we created is something called scalable persistent memory. What scalable persistent memory is basically the regular DRAM that you use on every server. We use that and connecting it to an NVMe drives, those SSD drives that run faster than traditional SSDs. We call them NVMe drives. We were able to work with Microsoft, with Linux, with other operating systems to deliver driver that would recognize a pool of this memory connected to those hard drives and see it as just a drive. By that, the memory up to 1 terabyte can sit on these memory DIMMs and deliver that speed that we were not able to get to in the past. This is a very cool feature for those high databases or large databases that you have in your environment, and for those who have very heavy loaded applications that runs today. And it's ideal on any type of operating system. If I want to say Microsoft, Linux, VMware would support it. And if I want to talk about the speed, and you're going to see it in a quick video after this, it delivers approximately 27 times faster than the traditional model. So let me show you this quick video that shows you exactly what we're talking about. On the left-hand side of your screen, that's going to be the regular NVMe SSD. We're not comparing it to a traditional SATA or SAS. On the right-hand side of your video or of your screen, that's going to be our scalable persistent memory. So the DRAM memory connected to NVMe hard drives. This is an application that runs in oil and gas. I'm not saying everyone uses this application, but just to show you this loaded application, how fast it runs with scalable persistent memory compared to traditional or the NVMe SSDs. It's amazing to see the performance that we were able to give to our customers with this new technology. So while on the left-hand side it's still loading to go from one layer to another, you can see how the system is just flashing those pop-ups and going faster. That allows our customer to, specifically this customer that we tested it with, to dig faster, extract oil faster, deliver faster to its market. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have at the end of this call. So the secure silicon, the secure silicon root of trust was not just on the chipset, going to firmware, going to BIOS and application level. What we did as well, realized that networking is key, and we added as well the silicon root of trust to our networking cards. So going from a standard to advanced to performance, you can see that we have some different security features on our networking cards. So I'm not sure if you're still standardized on the traditional 1 gig or 10 gig cards, or you started transitioning to the 25 gig cards, but what we're seeing today in the market, that the majority of the market is started transitioning to 10 gig, a little less going to 25. However, the security from our side starts from the standard was just the authentication and the secure boot. On the advanced, we added the firmware root of trust, and on the performance, the silicon root of trust. Intelligent system tuning, which is one of the latest features I want to talk about today related to our Gen 10. And this one is very exclusive to HPE. Our competitor would not have access to that. And thank you to Intel, we were able to come up with those features because our engineers, or the HPE engineers, work in collaboration with the Intel engineers to create some specific performance level to be delivered on HPE boxes with the Intel Skylake processors that did not exist elsewhere. And let's talk briefly about each and every one of them. Workload matching, and talking to some of our customers, they really admitted spending approximately around 40 to 60 hours or more before they can tune or best tune their server. So once you receive the server, open that box, before you load the workload you want to put on it, you go probably online and start checking some white papers or documents to have the best tuning for that server to get the best performance possible. So to save you this time, our engineers went and found the most common workloads available or requested in the market. They identified 15 profiles that they preloaded our systems with. So when you boot, you'll have the option to select the workload you're trying to deploy, and the system will auto-tune within minutes instead of days, or instead of weeks. This is a great feature available to you, and it's controlled through our BIOS and our ILO. Jitter smoothing and core boosting are two different features that are not for every customer maybe out there. So if you're in high transactions environment, if you're in high traders, or if you are a big retailer, you can definitely benefit from jitter smoothing. If you pay for a lot of licensing by core, that's costing you a lot of money. If you have, let's say, Oracle database in your environment, that's costing you as well a lot of budget out of your IT because they charge by core. Core boosting is definitely a feature you need to have. So let's talk briefly about jitter smoothing. What we've realized, and when talking to Intel, when you activate your CPU to go at turbo boost, realize the performance definitely improves. However, with that performance improvement, realize that the CPU is creating some jitters. And what jitters are, kind of like it changes of frequency that from going from one speed to another. With these changes, we realize that customers tend to lose a little bit of performance on the long term. And that's why I'm saying that's not for every customer. This is kind of for high traders, high transactional environments. What our engineers in collaboration with Intel, they were able to identify the level where the CPU would run at a constant speed higher than the standard speed. However, it will be lower than the turbo boost speed. Running at that stable speed would deliver, a smoother frequency to your application, which tends to provide better output from those applications. And to our engineers' surprise, that it's not just removing the jitters that we were able to accomplish with this method. We realized that the high transactional environments, that were able to deliver a better performance at the end of the day compared to the turbo boost. Core boosting, because of the nature of our airflow within our servers, and we were able to cool our server better than a lot of our competitors out there, we were able, I'm not sure if you guys saw any changes to the presentation, but I feel something just dropped on my screen.
It went back to the main.
Yeah. There you go. You're back now.
Okay. So core boosting, basically, because of the nature of the airflow and the cooling in our servers, meeting with Intel, we were able to come to an agreement that the Intel CPUs can run at higher clock speed on our servers. And by that, it can activate more cores when it's running at higher frequencies and higher speeds. With that, you don't lose any of those cores when you're activating more frequencies, or when your workload is being to its max, or it's reaching its max on your server. So when you have multiple servers to be able to deliver on, let's say, an Oracle database, and when you're paying by core, you're definitely losing some of those cores to deliver the output you need. With core boosting, we will be able to recapture those cores for you and limit you from maybe adding an extra server to your database or to your environment and pay the full licensing fees on these cores. Our engineers did the math on this, and in a matter of 2 years, talking at a retail price, you'll be able to save in a large database environment approximately between 100 to 150,000 just in licensing fees. And definitely this is very wide statement that could be tailored more and more to everyone's environment later, but to come up with just an explanation on how this is happening and to make sure highlight the cost that licensing is taken out of your IT budget when you can spend part of it on security and hardware innovation. The last phase of our Gen 10 features is economic control. While we do believe a lot of our customers, they tend to adopt the latest and greatest and going straight to the newer generations, we still believe that there is a good amount of our customers that they cannot justify the adoption of newer technology immediately. For this reason, we were able to kind of deliver on some programs to help you acquire our Gen 10 servers without adding a load to your budget. Starting with the flex capacity or flexibility of the public cloud. So we have, as I mentioned, different programs. Flexible capacity allows you to acquire servers and storage or networking along with any software you need, have it run on-premise, however, pay for it as if it was off-premise. So it will be kind of a fee that you pay at the end of the month for utilizing all these equipments. You do not have to pay upfront for all that hardware. So similar to when you're paying a fee for your cloud services. However, talking about the trade-offs that we mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, we're able to help you have access to your data, be able to expand, and pay that fee at the end of the month. Capacity care, which is more towards our services department, allows you to use tracking to raise utilization level. So it helps you track how your environment is reacting to any type of application you're adding, and allows you to add capacity, add servers, add storage on the run. The last one I want to talk about is the acquire today and seamlessly upgrade later. This is an up to 36 months payment, 0% interest rental plan situation where you can get still the Gen 9 servers today if you're standardized on Gen 9, and at no additional cost be able to upgrade all that environment within 1 year to Gen 10 whenever you're ready to do it. We've heard some of our customers complaining about current budgets, and we were able to kind of provide different programs to help them with that. I hope that helps you identify the best of the Gen 10 features and help you make a decision to adopt HPE. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at the end of this call. And with that, I transfer it to Darren.
Sure, thanks, Ronnie. Yeah, I'll be real quick. So we are extremely excited, and Ronnie did a good job of talking about Gen 10 and how it's the most secure server and all the reasons why. You know, and I'm glad Intel was part of some of those so they can you know, say that statement. So we are in tight collaboration with HPE. We're excited about the Gen 10, and one of the biggest reasons Intel is excited is because of our, and you go to the next slide, is our brand new Intel Scalable platform. This is something that was, go to the next one. One more. So this is a brand new platform. It's built from the ground up. Actually, the previous one, sorry, Ronnie. The Intel Scalable platform one. There we go. And sorry about the the font of that, but this is something that Intel is extremely excited about. This is probably and is our biggest launch and advancements and change since Nehalem days, when virtualization became hot, probably what, 10 years ago. This platform is the biggest change since then. We changed everything from the brand new microarchitecture, which we'll dive in a little bit. We changed the memory subsystem. We add a lot of more features to this. So we are extremely excited. And, to make things even, more difficult for you, we changed the naming of how, from Xeon, E3, E5, E7 to these badges, which you'll see in the slides that come. So again, like I said, we changed everything starting from the interconnect. We have a new UPI bus. We have 2-socket, 4-socket, 8-socket systems. We have up to 28 cores. We've added the Lewisburg chipset, which gives you a lot better I/O. And then the third thing we added was an array of add-in options. So, I know Ronnie talked a lot about SSDs and memory. A lot of people don't realize that Intel sells a ton of SSDs, and we have been for many years. So we have a lot of new SSDs that are coming out with our 3D XPoint, and we're actually getting back into the memory business, which we originally started, Intel long ago. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these options within the HPE and Gen 10 platform. The one thing I would just say is sometimes you just, it's not labeled, when you are configuring those sometimes. So please ask your HP rep or Intel rep, as you are configuring those, hey, is this Intel, or, even when you get to the Ethernet and likes of that. So, so that's a little bit about the scalable platform. If you go to the next slide. So what did we do? So this is the first time that we actually launched everything at one time. In the past, what Intel would do, right? We would launch the E5 line, and then we, which is a 2-socket or 4-socket, and then we would launch the E7 product line. The E7, which would be like a DL580 and the likes of that. This is the first time that we've merged everything into one, and now we have systems from 2-socket all the way to 8-socket launched at the same time, and we changed the branding. So if you look at the slide, you'll see that we have our branding for our scalable platform is the low end. You'll see the bronze, you'll see a silver, you'll see 2 levels of gold, and then a platinum. So, and again, from bronze to platinum, you can go into 2-socket systems, gold and up. You can go 4 to 8-socket systems. So that's kind of how the branding, and we'll get to another slide on that. If you go to the next slide. Oh, I knew this wasn't going to come out right. So apologize for this slide, but if you go to the platinum, that's the highest level. That's up to 28 cores. It goes 2, 4, 8 sockets. You will see. Then you'll go down to gold, which will have up to 22 cores. 2 and 4 sockets, and then you'll go down from that. And this slide kind of talks about the numbering. We changed the numbering, and this kind of gives you a little cheat sheet on how that numbering works. So if you look at the first number, that's the SKU. It's a 3, 4, 5, 6, or 8. The processor generation, so it's the first generation. The processor number, and then how much memory capacity, and then if there's any other features added. So if you go to the next slide. This kind of just talks to really about some of the enhancements. The first one is probably the biggest, is our mesh architecture. I'm not going to get all technical and stuff like that, but that is something that we've been working on for a long time. It's going to help us as we move forward to adding more and more cores. In the past we used to have a ring architecture. So what that kind of did, the latency sometimes was an issue. So with the mesh architecture, the latency is extremely low, and So it's taken us quite a long time, but we're excited about this and moving forward on that. We enhanced some of the RAS features, reliability, availability, serviceability. Majority of those were on our E7 platforms. Now you'll get those in gold level, you'll get those in platinum level. And then for HPC customers right now, we enhanced the advanced vector extensions from 256 to 512, which is, for HPC customers, that is extremely important to them. If you go to the next slide. So this is, and Ronnie talked to this, is kind of where the Gen 10 and Intel fit. We're not just in the, DL360s and 380s, with their Synergy platform, which I know a lot of the, customers are looking at. There is Synergy based on Intel, on Gen 10. So we have from a DL, like 360 all the way up to Synergy. In SimpliVity also, we are, extremely excited to have a whole portfolio with HP on that front. And then let's go to the next slide. And then this is the last slide. There's a ton of resources out there. I mean, platform's been out now for, I think like 6 months now. And we do recognize it's a big change. It's just a big change to see even what CPU you should be buying. In the past, it was very easy, right? If you were buying a 360 or 380 with an E5 2640 V4, which was our, which went into the Gen 9s, you would, think you would buy that same CPU with the V5 added. That's actually not the case. This is the, we have CPUs for every type of workload, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with this platform. If it's HPC customer, if it's a customer that wants more cores, we have that. Or if they're worried about licensing and they want less cores but more gigahertz, we have a plethora of CPUs and memory that you added to these platforms. If you look on the right-hand side, there's a transition guide. And that transition guide is something that you all can use. It's public. You go to and it'll get you, I think they're going to be posting these slides. But you go to this link, you put in exactly what CPU you were using. If it's 3 or 4 years old, what it will do then, it will spit out, okay, this is an effective, CPU, an efficient CPU, a one that's comparable, and then one that's better, double the performance. And then what it does, it tells you exactly side by side the differences, how many cores. It gives you the TCO. It tells you the pricing. You can change a lot of, if you depending on power, if you're using VMware, and it spits out a TCO for you and an ROI. So that's an extremely valuable tool. And I think, let me see what the link of that is xeonestimator.intel.com, and we're going to get these slides to you. I know we're working with HP on a tool also, but that's the one with that's one of the biggest things people ask us is, hey, if I was buying this, I'd be in the gold. So I'd say the majority of the customers, on this call probably will be in that gold level, and we have 2 levels of that. But we do have the entry-level servers at bronze. So, we are real excited about our teaming with HPE, and we look forward to, continuing a relationship with them. And thank you for your time. And I'll give it back to you for any questions.
All right, thank you guys. We do have a couple questions for you. The first question is, some of your competition are claiming to have the secure servers. How is that different from the HPE servers?
I can take this one, Jorge. Definitely everyone's going to have some level of security, and every manufacturer out there is trying its best to protect his customers and protect his portfolio. However, the biggest differentiator we have on our HPE side that defeats and beats every claim out there that they have the same security is the feature that we spoke about briefly, which is ILO. Because ILO is home developed, like it's our own internal application, our engineers worked through many and many years to build that ASIC to control our servers, we were able to inject ILO with the security algorithm that we wanted. This is a major differentiator between HPE servers and our competitors, regardless of their size. All our competitors, what they do is they take that management software that's sold on different, racks or different platforms. They take it and just rebrand it to tailor it around their servers. So it's definitely not built from ground up to meet the features of their servers. So there is always that risk factor that the application or that management software that they are picking from third-party vendor could already be breached or could already have some non-conformity to their systems. So this is what makes us believe, and we utilize a third-party company that does, all they do is just trying to break into systems. So they are kind of ethical hackers that they're well known in that industry, and what they do, they take just all the platforms available and we pay them to actually try to break into our server. And the report that we got from them is basically they were able to breach in every other server except the HPE, which makes us claim that we are the world's most secure server with our secure silicon root of trust.
All right, thank you, Ronnie. The next question is possibly for an offline conversation. For the resellers, how does the 36-month plan work, and would we work with HPE FS for that?
Absolutely. So HPE FS has to be involved in anything that requires monthly payments, just because we don't want to add the burden to our resellers on top of all the great work they're doing to advertise and market our products. We just don't want them collecting monthly fees. So what happens in that case is they bring us the opportunity, and we involved our HPE FS arm, and the HPE FS department will be able to work with our customers to kind of tailor that monthly payments to their needs, and our partners will be, out of that monthly transaction, if I want to say. However, any changes that happens to that agreement, the partner will be involved in it, and the partner will be notified.
All right, Ronnie, thank you. And one final question. What is the key hardware differentiator between Generation 9 and Generation 10?
That's a very good question. Between Gen 9 and Gen 10, so besides some of the features that we spoke about, going from ILO 4 to ILO 5, going from 8 gig NVDIMMs to 16 gig NVDIMMs, by having the NVMe or the scalable persistent memory on the Gen 10, one of the main features that we added is, we added more drives on the chassis on most of our portfolio. So I can give you a quick example. Our 2U rack system, which is a DL380, can have today up to 30 small form factor drives on that just 2U chassis, which is a major increase from the previous generation. I'll give you another example on our 4 processor systems, which is the DL580. On our Gen 9, the DL580 was able to host 24 drives. Today in our Gen 10, it could host 48 drives. So we doubled the drive count on that chassis while without changing the form factor. So we kept it at 4U. It was a 4U box with 4 processors. We kept it at 4U and we went to all the way to 48 drives. Another key features that we have right now on our Gen 10 server is this, the memory speed. The memory speed goes all the way to 2666 when it was 2400 on the Gen 9. And we added on most of our servers the ILO server support that we briefly mentioned through our presentation. All that added to definitely the major performance increase that the customers will obtain from moving from Broadwell or Haswell processors to the Skylake processors. There's a major performance differentiator there that they would benefit from.
All right. Thank you very much, Ronnie. I'll leave the floor open now. That was the final question. If you guys have any final remarks.
No, I just thank everyone, for being on the call, and we have a great partnership with HPE. We appreciate it. Time.
Thank you very much again from HPE side. Thank you, Darren, for the partnership. Thank you, PCM, for being a great partner, and to our customers. The biggest thank you goes to you. You guys are the reason to keep us on track to innovate and deliver better products and have a faster strategy to our market. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you guys for that great presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Be sure to check out www.pcm.com/webinars for our on-demand recordings and for our upcoming webinar schedule. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you again for future webinars. Have a great day.